Hello and welcome to the chemistry topic Acids and Alkalis, lesson 2, Neutralisation. So in the previous lesson we looked at the differences between acids and alkalis, the pH scale and indicators. Today we're going to look at the specific reaction neutralisation, and we're going to look at this in conjunction with 3 different types of acids as well. So you need to know what happens when you mix an acid with an alkali. You've got an image there of hydrochloric acid and an image of 2 alkalis. One's potassium hydroxide, one's sodium hydroxide. At Key Stage 3, commonly we'll talk about hydrochloric acid as one of the main 3, but the alkali you'll talk about the most is sodium hydroxide. So you need to try and remember that. Okay, remember the acids tend to have acid after the name. Sodium hydroxide, it's not sodium hydroxide alkali, it is just called sodium hydroxide. So you have to hear that word and think it's the alkali. When these 2 chemicals, the acid and the alkali, are mixed together, they will react, and the reaction that takes place is neutralisation. So when neutralisation occurs, a salt is formed along with water. And usually what happens is the neutral solution that is produced has a pH of 7. And we know that because we know that pure water has a pH of 7. It may, if you're testing it with a universal indicator, it may not look exactly like the green on the pH scale, but that is the concept, that acids react with alkalis and they will form the salt and the water, and you need to be able to name them. You also need to know how to make sodium chloride. Now, sodium chloride is a salt. So you will have hydrochloric acid, which you will react with sodium hydroxide. So hydrochloric acid already contains the chloride ions, and sodium hydroxide contains the sodium. Mix those, stir them with a stirring rod in a beaker. Then you will pour that solution into an evaporating basin, and you will gently heat that with a Bunsen burner. Okay, so the evaporating basin is a thin ceramic basin. You will heat that. What you are then left with is a salt. Now, it will look like salt. It will look like a little bit like the table salt that you use, because sodium chloride is salt. What you also need to know is which salt you can make from which acid. So you have to know how to make chloride salts, which 2 chemicals to react, how to make nitrate salts, and how to make sulfate salts. It's a very simple if you remember the key points, key words, okay? So chloride salts are formed from hydrochloric, so chloric is key here, hydrochloric acid. That will react with an alkali to form chloride salts. One example of this is hydrochloric acid reacting with sodium hydroxide to form sodium chloride and water. So that's chloride salts. The next one is nitrate salts. Different acid this time, so it's nitric. Nitric leads to nitrate salts. Okay, so you will react your nitric acid with your alkali sodium hydroxide, and that will form sodium nitrate and water. So again, it's another neutralisation reaction. And then finally, sulfuric acid. You can make sulfate salts. So sulfuric acid will react with an alkali to make sulfate salts. We're going to use sodium hydroxide as our example again. So you're going to have sulfuric acid reacting with sodium hydroxide to form sodium sulfate and water. Now, you need to learn the general equation where we had acid plus alkali reacts to give you salt and water. And then you need to be able to know these different examples. This will carry on into your Key Stage 4 chemistry lessons as well. So make sure you understand these, and make sure you could also do it with different alkalis. So for example, in the first picture, we had potassium hydroxide. So if we were reacting sulfuric acid with potassium hydroxide, you would actually have potassium sulfate and water. Okay, and we've given you an example in this lesson also of how to make a salt, which you need to be able to explain as well.